Have you ever wondered why people climb a mountain where they know they might die and where the path to the top is lined with frozen bodies? High on Mount Everest, climbers pass dead people on the way to the summit. Some of these bodies have been there for more than 30 years. The cold is so extreme that the bodies never decay. They stay frozen in the exact place where the climbers fell. Even more disturbing, some of these bodies have become landmarks. Climbers actually use them to know where they are on the mountain. Imagine walking for hours in thin air. You are tired, your oxygen is low. Then suddenly you see a frozen body in the snow. It is still wearing bright climbing gear. The person looks like they simply sat down and never got back up. Most people would turn around at that moment, but many climbers do something shocking. They step over the body and keep going. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain on Earth. For many people, standing on its summit is the ultimate dream. It means glory, pride, and the feeling of standing on top of the world. But that dream has a dark side. Over the years, more than 300 climbers have died on Everest, and many of them are still there today. So the real question is not just why people die on Everest. The deeper question is something much stranger. Why do climbers keep going even after seeing the bodies of those who failed before them? The answer is not only about danger, it is about the human mind. Something powerful happens to people when they get close to the summit. A strange mindset takes over. It pushes climbers forward even when their bodies are failing. In this video, we will explore the dark psychology behind Mount Everest. You will learn why bodies remain on the mountain, what happens to the human brain in the deadly death zone, and the powerful mental trap called summit fever that has led many climbers to make fatal decisions. And by the end of this video, you may start to see Everest in a completely different way, not just as a mountain, but as one of the most extreme tests of the human mind. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing on Everest is not the cold, the ice, or the height. It is the decision to keep climbing. Mount Everest rises 8,849 meters above sea level. It is the highest point on Earth. For many climbers, reaching the summit is the greatest achievement possible. It is a dream that can take years to prepare for. People train for a long time. They spend huge amounts of money. Some climbers pay more than $50,000 for one chance to reach the top. Every year, hundreds of climbers travel to Nepal with the same goal. They want to stand on the roof of the world. And many of them succeed. Over the years, thousands of people have reached the summit of Everest. But the mountain also has a darker story. More than 300 climbers have died on Everest. Some died from exhaustion, some ran out of oxygen, others were caught in sudden storms or deadly avalanches. And unlike most places in the world, many of their bodies are still on the mountain today. The reason is simple but disturbing. Everest is so dangerous that bringing a body down can risk even more lives. The air is too thin, the slopes are too steep, and the weather can change in minutes. In many cases, it is simply impossible to move a body safely, so the mountain keeps them, frozen in ice, preserved by extreme cold. Some bodies lie just a few feet away from the climbing path. Many climbers see them during their journey to the top. But something strange happens when people are climbing Everest. Even after seeing the bodies, even after knowing the risk, many climbers keep going. They push higher, closer to the summit. To understand why, we first need to understand the most dangerous place on the entire mountain, a place climbers call the death zone. Above 8,000 meters, Mount Everest enters a place climbers fear the most. It is called the death zone. The name is not an exaggeration. It is a scientific fact. At this height, the air holds only about 1/3 of the oxygen found at sea level. Every breath feels weak. Your body slowly begins to shut down. Your brain receives less oxygen. Your muscles lose strength. Even simple actions become very difficult. Climbers move slowly, sometimes only a few steps at a time. Then they must stop to breathe again. In the death zone, the human body cannot survive for long. It is not built for this environment. The body is slowly dying the entire time it stays there. Your brain begins to work poorly. People become confused. Some climbers forget basic things. Others start making dangerous decisions. A person may remove their gloves in freezing air or sit down to rest, even though resting can mean death. The cold is also brutal. temperatures can fall below -40 degrees. At that level of cold, skin can freeze within minutes. Frostbite can destroy fingers, toes, and noses. Oxygen tanks help climbers survive, but they do not last forever. If the oxygen runs out too soon, the body weakens very quickly. Every minute becomes a fight to stay alive. And yet, even in this deadly place, climbers continue to move upward. They pass frozen tents, abandoned gear, and sometimes the bodies of climbers who never made it back down. But one question still remains. If the mountain is this dangerous, why are so many bodies still left there in the first place? To understand that, we need to look at the harsh reality of what it takes to bring someone down from Everest. Most people assume that when someone dies on a mountain, rescuers bring the body back down. On Everest, that almost never happens. The reason is simple. It is too dangerous. Above the death zone, even strong climbers struggle just to keep themselves alive. The air is thin, the slopes are steep. One wrong step can mean falling thousands of feet. Now imagine trying to carry a body in that environment. A frozen body can weigh more than 300 pounds because of heavy gear and the stiffness of the ice. Moving it even a few feet can take several people, and every minute spent doing that puts the rescuers in serious danger. Helicopters cannot help either. The air is too thin for most helicopters to fly safely that high. This means everything must be done by climbers on foot. In many cases, bringing a body down would risk more lives than leaving it where it is. So the mountain keeps them. Over time, some bodies have become known landmarks along the climbing route. One of the most famous is a climber called Green Boots. For many years, his bright green boots could be seen in a small cave along the trail. Climbers used the spot to measure how far they had come. It sounds shocking, but on Everest, this has become part of the climb. Most climbers know about these bodies before they even begin the journey. They see photos, they hear the stories, they understand the risks, and yet they still decide to go. Which brings us to one of the most powerful and dangerous forces on Everest, a mindset that has pushed many climbers past the point of safety. Climbers call it summit fever. There is a moment during the climb when something strange happens inside a climber's mind. It usually comes when the summit is finally close. After weeks on the mountain, the top of Everest may be only a few hundred meters away. Climbers can actually see it. The dream they have chased for years is right above them. This is when summit fever begins. Summit fever is a powerful mental state. A climber becomes fully focused on reaching the top. Nothing else seems to matter anymore. The cold, the danger, the warnings from guides, all of it fades into the background. The summit becomes the only goal. But the problem is that Everest does not become safer the closer you get. In fact, the higher you climb, the more dangerous it becomes. Oxygen levels drop even further, the weather becomes more unpredictable, and the body becomes weaker with every step. Guides often tell climbers that reaching the summit is only half the journey. The real challenge is making it back down alive. Yet many climbers ignore this truth. They keep climbing even when their oxygen is almost gone. They continue even when their fingers and toes begin to freeze. Some push forward even when their bodies are close to collapse. Turning around feels impossible because in their minds, they are so close to success. This is the trap of summit fever. The closer someone gets to their goal, the harder it becomes to stop. The brain starts to believe that turning back would mean failure, and that dangerous belief has led many climbers to make decisions they would never make anywhere else. But summit fever is not the only psychological trap on Everest. There is another powerful force that pushes climbers forward, even when they know they should stop. Psychologists call it the sunk cost trap. Climbing Mount Everest is not just dangerous, it is also very expensive. Most climbers spend between $40,000 and $100,000 for a single attempt. They pay for permits, guides, oxygen tanks, equipment, travel, and months of preparation. For many people, it is the biggest investment of their life. But the cost is not only money. Climbers spend years training for this moment. They wake up early to exercise. They climb smaller mountains. They push their bodies to the limit again and again. Many leave their jobs for months to prepare for the expedition. By the time they reach Everest, they have already sacrificed a lot. And this is where the human mind creates a dangerous illusion. Psychologists call it the sunk cost fallacy. It means that when people invest a huge amount of time, money, or effort into something, they feel they must finish it, even if finishing it becomes risky or irrational. Turning back feels like losing everything. Imagine climbing for weeks. You are cold, tired, and running low on oxygen, but the summit is now only a short distance away. In your mind, quitting feels worse than continuing. Your brain starts telling you one simple lie: you have already come this far, you cannot stop now. So climbers keep moving upward, even when their guides warn them to turn around, even when storms begin to form, even when their bodies are starting to fail. Because after investing so much, walking away feels impossible. But this powerful mental trap leads to a disturbing truth about Mount Everest. The mountain does not only test strength or endurance, it tests something much deeper. It tests human ambition. And sometimes that ambition can become dangerously powerful. Mount Everest is more than just a mountain. For many people, it represents the ultimate achievement. Standing on the summit means reaching the highest point on Earth. Only a small number of people in the world can say they have done it. That idea alone is very powerful. Humans are naturally drawn to extreme challenges. The harder something is, the more valuable it feels. Climbing Everest is not just about adventure. For many climbers, it becomes a symbol of success, courage, and personal victory. But ambition has a dark side. When people chase a goal that feels larger than life, they sometimes stop thinking clearly. The goal becomes an obsession. The summit becomes more important than safety. Some climbers say that when they are close to the top, they stop thinking about the dangers. Their mind focuses on only one thing: reaching the summit. At that moment, the risks feel smaller. The warning signs feel less important. But the mountain does not care about ambition. The weather can change suddenly. Oxygen can run out. One wrong step can end everything. And this is why Everest has so many stories of climbers who were just a short distance from the summit, but never returned. Their ambition pushed them forward, but the mountain demanded a price. In the end, Everest reveals something powerful about human nature. People are willing to risk almost everything for a moment of greatness. And sometimes that moment lasts only a few minutes on the summit, but the consequences can last forever. Mount Everest is often called the roof of the world. From a distance, it looks beautiful and peaceful, a giant peak covered in white snow. But the reality on that mountain is very different. Everest is one of the harshest environments on Earth. The air is thin, the cold is brutal, and above 8,000 meters, the human body slowly begins to fail. Yet every year, climbers continue to go. They train for years, they spend huge amounts of money, they risk their lives for the chance to stand on the summit for just a few minutes. Along the way, they pass frozen reminders of how dangerous the climb really is, bodies that never came back down. But the most surprising truth about Everest is this: many climbers know about these dangers before they even begin the journey. They understand the risks, they see the photos, they hear the stories, and still they choose to climb. Because Everest is not only a physical challenge, it is a psychological one. The mountain tests ambition, it tests judgment, it pushes the human mind to its limits. Sometimes the cold, the storms, or the lack of oxygen take lives, but other times the real danger comes from the powerful desire to reach the top. On Mount Everest, the mountain does not always defeat people. Sometimes their own minds do. So now I want to ask you something. If you had the chance to climb Mount Everest, knowing that the path to the summit is lined with the bodies of those who tried before you, would you still go? Let me know your answer in the comments. And if you enjoy learning about the hidden psychology behind extreme human decisions, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Because some of the most fascinating mysteries in the world are not found in places, they are found inside the human mind.